Hi guys, welcome to another video. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to answer some test type worded questions or applications of quadratics and your knowledge of quadratics, your knowledge of features of it, so like turning point, y-intercepts, x-intercepts, and all these different features and where you can use the Classpad to help you for a few things, okay? So I'm going to go through this particular question right here. So have your Classpad out? I've got mine kind of hidden down here. I'll bring it up as we need it. But let's have a go at this question here. So the diagram on the right shows the motion of a particle fired with initial speed of 7 meters per second at 45 degrees to the horizontal from a position that is h meters above ground level. The equation of the particle, path of the particle, is shown by this here. I'm not going to read that out. You can see that. And with the x and y axes shown in the diagram on the side here. So this is basically a general picture of what it looks like. So we're going to find the coordinates of A, which is the highest point on the path of the particle. We're going to find the value of H. And we're also going to state whether or not the graph is concave up or concave down. Sorry, there's a little typo there, by the way. All right, so just before we start, all these worded questions do is basically ask you to find a few things, generally speaking. It always asks you to find either the turning point, asks you to find the y-intercept, asks you to find a x-intercept, or it asks you to find basically any coordinate that's on there as well. Yeah, or sometimes even asks you the nature of it. So similar to this one where it asks us for the nature of the graph. Okay, so just note that it's always going to be one of those 5 things basically for these questions like this, and it's always going to be worded and it's going to be kind of hidden in its language, so you've got to really read it carefully and actually figure out what the question's asking, and that's always a problem. It always becomes a thing, so that's what this is helping you for. Okay, so let's look at our first question here. So the coordinates of A, the highest point on the path of the particle. Now if you imagine this is like a parabola, like fully there. Now this point here can also be represented as the turning point. So essentially for this question here, this part here is asking you to find the turning point of this graph. Now it's going to be a problem because you literally can't read this graph and be like, oh yeah, I totally know what that point is and what this point is. Yep, I totally know that. You don't, because it's too difficult. You can look at this equation. This is crazy. So I'm going to actually get you to actually type into your Classpad. So have your Classpad out. Now you don't have to type in y because y is already here. I just want you to type in this part of your equation. So I'm going to write that in. So negative 0.2. I'm going to write x. Take 2.5 squared plus 11.25. Okay, I'm going to press execute or your blue button on your calculator, and I'm going to actually graph it. So press this top button here to graph it on the bottom. Now, if you don't end up seeing it and it looks like it doesn't exist, it does exist. It's somewhere there. Just go zoom auto, and there we go. You can see it pop up right there. Okay, so I'm going to drag it up a little bit so you can see essentially what we're dealing with. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually find this turning point. Now we can use the graph, this Classpad, and the graph to find that point. So you're going to go analysis, G-solve, and I'm going to find my maximum, because we can see here this graph is a maximum graph, not a minimum one. Now if you try to press minimum, it's going to tell you it doesn't exist, because it doesn't. There's no minimum point because it goes down forever and ever. Also, if you notice that, for example, if I drag it away, or something, sorry, if I drag it to, like, for example, this point here, where you don't really see the turning point, and I try to find the maximum, it also doesn't find it. So you've got to make sure it's actually showing on your graph. Okay, so let's do that. So analysis, G-solve, max. Here we go. Here's my turning point here. So let me just write that down here. So I'm going to write analysis, G-solve, and we went to max, because that's our turning point. Okay, so our turning point is 2.5, 11.25. Yeah, so that's my coordinates. Okay, so basically this 2.5 tells me how far away it is from my original standing point, and this tells me how high it went. So this is the maximum height. Yeah, all right, just for reference, so just so you know what those numbers mean. They're not just fancy numbers for no reason. All right. Let's look at value h. Now, value h here is this height here. Now, this height can be represented by, you guessed it, the y-intercept. So essentially, instead of me just kind of like figuring, oh, what does h mean? I'm going to know that it's the y-intercept, and I'm going to use the graphing abilities on my Classpad to find out that value. So I'm going to now go to analysis, G-solve, and you see here there's a y-intercept button here. So I'm going to go analysis, G-solve, I'm going to write y-intercept. So let's press that button. Now let's have a look. You can see here that my intercept is at 0, 10. That tells me this distance here is 10 meters. So the value of h is 10 meters. All right. Now let's do part C. Now part C, we can see here, state whether the graph shown is concave up or concave down. Now, because it's a maximum graph and there's a high point, it's telling us that it is a maximum and it is concave down. So answer here is concave down. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video here. I'm gonna show you another video, another question, worded question as well. So have a look at that one for another bit more in-depth question.